Hello, everyone. Welcome to the class of Building Construction Organization and Management. In this class, we will study construction site management. The first topic is the general layout of construction site. In this class, we will study the current construction site of the Xinxiao Staff Center project with videos, images, and other resources to explain the layout of construction site. This class is divided into 5 parts: the concept, contents, basis, principles, and steps of construction site layout. First, let's learn about what the layout of construction site is. Layout of construction site refers to making rational planning, arrangement, and specific deployment of a construction site based on the project scale, construction plan, construction schedule, and production needs, in consideration of the on-site conditions, and according to certain layout principles. Its function is to properly handle the spatial relationship between various required facilities and permanent buildings, and the proposed construction project, guiding the site throughout the construction period to achieve organized, orderly, and safe construction. The site layout drawn as a diagram, known as the construction site layout plan. So what are the specific contents of construction site layout plan? There are 5 main aspects. First, the topographic conditions within the construction land area. Second, the locations of all proposed buildings, structures, and other infrastructure. Third, facilities within the construction site area for processing, transportation, storage, power supply, water and heating supply, temporary construction roads, office and accommodations. Fourth, essential site facilities for safety, fire protection, security, and environmental protection. Fifth, the buildings, structures, and surroundings existing on the adjacent above ground and underground. At different stages of the construction project, adjustments should be made dynamically. Based on stage-specific characteristics and requirements, corresponding site layout plans should be prepared for each stage. For example, during the earthwork and piling stages, based on the piling sequence, reasonably reserve soil excavation ramps and arrange space for mounted construction machinery and rebar processing areas. During the basement construction stage, according to the basement construction plan, large-scale equipment and main construction roads should be arranged in stages. Ensure proper site conditions for the upcoming main structure works and steel structure hoisting. Third, during the main structure construction stage, the layout of main roads and large-scale equipment should meet the needs of the main structure construction to facilitate concrete pouring, steel structure hoisting, and transportation. Fourth, during the finishing and installation stage, once the follow-up works such as interior finishing, woodwork, wall partitions, and MEP systems begin, vertical transportation machinery should be arranged rationally, and arrange processing and material storage areas for finishing and installation nearby to ensure convenience and efficiency. Throughout the entire layout process, the actual site construction conditions, the number of project management personnel, and the owner's staffing situation should be comprehensively considered to reasonably set up office and accommodation areas. Next, let's learn about the design basis for the general layout of construction sites. Have 4 aspects. First, relevant national laws and regulations, which set requirements for construction site management, as well as local policy requirements. Second, original data for design and construction, such as natural conditions, labor and material conditions, social survey data, material and equipment conditions, transportation conditions, water, electricity, and other infrastructure and living facilities, construction enterprise information, and the resource conditions of potential participating contractors. Third, design documents, including the general building construction plan, vertical design plans, topographic maps and regional planning maps, as well as all existing and proposed underground utility layout maps within the scope of the construction project. Fourth, data of construction organization design, including construction deployment, major construction methods, the general construction schedule, and various resource allocation plans. Then, what principles should be followed? First, the layout should be scientific, reasonable, and compact. Minimize construction land occupation as much as possible. Second, organize transportation effectively. Ensure smooth transport, available road access, and reduce secondary handling. Third, reasonably divide construction zones and temporary land use, meeting general construction deployment and workflow requirements, while minimizing interference between different activities and trades. Fourth, make full use of existing buildings, structures, and facilities to serve construction needs and reduce the cost of temporary facilities. Fifth, temporary facilities should facilitate both production and daily life. Office areas, accommodation areas, and production zones should be set up separately. Sixth, meet requirements for energy conservation, environmental protection, safety, and fire prevention. Seventh, comply with local relevant regulations on safe and organized construction. These are the design principles that should be followed in general layout for construction. In fact, as can be seen from the context, design principles and basis are interrelated. Finally, let's study the steps for drawing a construction site layout plan. Layout external transportation roads. Determine the locations of warehouses and material storage yards. Arrange processing plants and mixing stations. Layout internal transport roads. Arrange temporary buildings. Temporary water and electricity pipelines and other utility facilities. Finally, draw the formal general construction layout plan. This concludes all the content we've covered in this class, mainly including 5 aspects: the concept, content, basis, principles, and steps of construction site layout. The general construction site layout plays an important role in organized, orderly, and safe construction. It requires scientific and reasonable planning and should be represented through diagrams. All right, that's all for today's class. Thank you. Goodbye.